And we're back. I'm just kidding. We're live, though. We are live. And look who's in studio. Everybody's logged off already. Don't log off. Watch our show. It's called Elephant in the Room. And this is episode 133. We're not fired yet, but we're on the hot seat. So just hang with us today. I'm just joking, everybody. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. We're going to talk about Rock Montgomery's comments about the way that you have to be prepared to play football at Alabama because something changed, and now they're trying to change it back. I just want to ask this fella about it. College football expansion and the basketball game. We lost. And you guys always tune out when we talk basketball. You watch it, but you don't want to talk about it. What's up with that? What is up with that? We're still number 4 in the country. All that coming up with Jake Coker on Elephant in the Room right after this. All right, roll tide, everybody. My name is Mick Gillispie, and it is great to have you on our show today. That is Jake Coker. You remember him from his days at Alabama, and he's got, look at that, another really nifty A club shirt, like just rubbing it in everybody's face
Old
today.
School, baby. Old school.
Could you put your glasses back on? First off, the last show, I complimented him. I complimented this guy on finally looking good. And then he could just please put him on. Would you just do it?
You know, I walked in here, I didn't realize they were on, and as soon as I saw you, I was like, oh shit.
Just show everybody what you came in here looking like. I felt first of all, I didn't know if this was a guy that was going to snitch on me for having mushrooms, or if he was telling on kids for cutting school, or maybe he was part of Top Gun, but he won't put his aviators on. He's got a slick haircut. And look, I know you got brothers and sisters that have served our country honorably, and I respect that. But you didn't, so you don't have to have the Air Force haircut.
Man,
you look good though. You do look good.
Yeah, you said that with bad intent.
We haven't been live in forever, so why not just come out with some fire? What you got over there? Look at that cup. Now that I want to tell everybody about that cup. That is a vintage SEC cup right there.
This is
glass.
Back when football was football.
That's right. Look at the logos. And what I told you is when I mixed you that perfect drink right there, I said that in that glass, which is an antique, that the drink just tastes better.
It does taste better.
Right. And I don't know why. Did they use different glass back then? Because it's thin, but it is delicious out of that glass.
Well, when you pour something in a glass like that, you drink it for enjoyment. If you're drinking it out of a solo cup, you know, you're just going to pound it and it's over.
That's true.
You know,
and you can tell, like you and I say this because, you know, we did come at you a little hard with the haircut and the glasses. But if I didn't like you, you wouldn't be drinking out of that's my good stuff here. It's the best glass I got in the house. One of them.
I hear you.
So I'm hooking you up there.
The compliments you keep this up, and the compliments aren't going to be reciprocal too much longer.
Can you believe that this is episode 133? Can you believe that?
Yeah, I know. What's that? That's probably about 150 weeks.
That's a lot of shows,
right?
man.
Because we did a few weeks with just one show.
Yeah, or some with none, right? If you guys hang out with us, like and subscribe, please. And get in the comments section. Read the comments. Now, I'm afraid to read the comments sometimes. Sometimes I'm not. Somebody called me a gump. I was like, I think that's a good compliment.
I don't know. You're pretty self-aware.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. I do love Alabama. It was because I said that Bama basketball was number 1 because they were in the coaches poll.
Well, yeah. I mean, everybody was saying Alabama was, there's 3 polls. We're 1 in some. We're not. Of course, I don't know how to look at that game Saturday.
Yeah, I don't listen. If you start talking basketball right now,
okay,
everybody's going to dodge us. So just keep that in mind, right? We'll swing back to the hoops because I feel the same way. We have a lot to talk about there. in the way that things went down. Now, what I wanted to start today's show with was comments made by Rock Montgomery, who's a lineman for Alabama, an offensive lineman. He said, now these are a little old, but I haven't gotten your take on them. This is our second week of workouts. We started as a team last week. You can't be late for workouts no more. No jewelry, no more necklaces, none of that. It's not a fashion show. It's football. Shout out to Coach Ballou, our head strength coach. He's not playing that shit. Excuse my language, but he's just not. If someone's late, we have had a few people late. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. If somebody late to workouts, everybody got 15 up and downs on Ballou's whistle. And then whoever late got to push a plate and do their workout, and 15 up and downs, like no jewelry, no nothing. Any team that has won before us, nobody was doing none of that. Well, you won before, right? I mean, you won a national championship. You won two SEC titles, 14 and 15, starting quarterback in 2015. One of my favorite games ever, by the way. I got my Daniel Moore print right there. You are. What do you think about that shit? I mean, what is that? And I'm glad that Rock said it, but man, that scares me. I mean, were people coming into workouts with their jewelry on?
That's an alarming comment right there, buddy. I mean, look,
you're late a lot, so I didn't really take that part of it seriously. I'm just kidding, unless you're talking about golf. But I haven't seen you in forever, so I've been saving some good ones for you. But
I'm sitting here thinking about this comment, and I'm just I don't look. Again, we've talked about Coach DeBoer. We've said everybody knows where we stand, but how the fuck do you let somebody come in late to a workout?
Right.
I mean, the first time I ever saw that or really remembered it, I remember Michael Nicewander missed a workout one time, or he was late to a workout, I think 5 minutes maybe. And I remember Coach Cochran jumped on his ass, threw him out, and Nicewander was never late. He loved being at practice. He was probably more in love with playing football in Alabama than anybody I've ever met. It meant a lot to him. But he showed up late one day, and I remember Coach Cochran getting on his ass. I mean, running him out of the building. And I remember the next day we show up, we work out at 6:15, 6:30. I can't remember the time now, but I remember when I got there, it was like a Friday workout. So it was tough as shit. I mean, you had to run and run and run and then go work out, lift weights right after. It was like an hour, it felt like. And I remember I show up, and before I've even worked out, I look over and I see Nicewander just doubled over, throwing up everywhere. I mean, just
eating it,
throwing up everything he's ate the last 48 hours. And I'm like, holy shit. That was like I feel like that was one of my first summer workouts. I was like, this is what happens if you're late. And then he's got to do all this with us right after. Like, I don't know how he, I don't know how he did it.
Right.
And Alec Morris shows, we had a Thursday walkthrough, and he walked out with his shoes untied. And I don't think I've ever seen, Coach said, you'd have thought he got a DUI, ran through a red light, and T-boned somebody,
right?
On University Boulevard. He had his shoes untied during a walkthrough, and he marched his ass from one field to the other, just chewing him the whole time.
Right.
Being on time is one of the first key, cornerstones of accountability.
Yeah. Right.
And the jewelry and the different socks and different footwear, whatever it may be. I mean, that, everybody's supposed to look the same. Everybody's supposed to do the same stuff, same intensity, be on the same page. But, Coach Saban had been there for so long when I was there that a lot of it was self-policing. I mean, Josh Casher, we talked about him on here.
Yeah, right. We need to get him in here.
We're running 16-110s.
And everybody wanting people to come in here, by the way. I keep getting those comments. Who's coming in? Where's Ryan? Where's Shank?
I'm going to get
Where's Casher?
I'm going to get Casher and Ryan in here.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah. So anyway, where was I? I can't remember.
You're talking about running. He was running.
Oh yeah, he's running. We're running 16-110s one day, and I mean, you know, there he falls out. You know, I mean, he's getting dizzy and he's out of it. Like, I mean, you know, about to pass out. And I hadn't seen that before on a field either. I mean, I'd never seen a guy just black out. But nobody really knew what was going on. Everybody's calling him soft, calling him, you know, whatever, just cussing his ass until finally he just falls over. The guard's like, skirt down, you know, y'all run around him. It's like 4 guys come over, pick up each limb, throw him in the back of this little 3-wheel pickup truck.
Right.
And they cart him off to the training room to give him an IV.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, you know, it was the toughness that they built that program on was just through the roof, and everybody was on the same page. And unless you focus on those little details constantly over and over again, it's hard to build a culture where all the players are on the same page, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And look, I mean, on one hand, it's disappointing.
Yeah.
But on the other,
me stuff is just
right.
You can't have all that.
Mm-mm. But on the other hand, at least they're figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know, because we like Coach DeBoer. I mean, we really do. And we want him to succeed. And it's tough now. You know, it's a different world with NIL and transfer portal.
Nick Sheridan, Kane Womack.
Good guys.
Kevin DeBoer, I mean.
Smart dudes.
Oh, yeah.
Busting their ass recruiting. You know, you can't take that away from them.
And I understand it's a different world. You know, I mean, you got to a certain, and Coach Saban even said it, it's almost like you got to recruit your own players to not transfer now.
Right.
And so it is a little bit different, but I mean, I just don't know how you function without basic fundamental accountability.
Mm-hmm.
and getting your leaders to where you almost don't even have to police that.
Well, and that's it, man. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, we've talked about this on here, but this is every team that you ever play on that's successful, right? Yeah. Every business that is successful, there's somebody's leading it. And there's only so much that the coaches can do.
And there's a level to it where, you know, I mean, you know, we talked about Malachi Moore and that incident he had at the end of the game against Vandy. Some of that you really got to think about, because sometimes, you know, your leaders take things a little too far, or they act out in emotion because they want to win so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you want that. I mean, it's a good thing to a certain degree, but you got to find a way to channel all that into a disciplined way of pushing the team in the right direction. I mean, you know, God, we had fights, we had all kinds of stuff going on in that locker room, but it all felt like it was. I mean, it was not chaos, because everybody really was, you know, where they were supposed to be, doing what they should be doing for the most part. I mean, you're still talking about 18 to 22-year-old kids. I guess you got 25-year-olds now, but it was the most organized effort I think you could possibly achieve with a football program, with a bunch of guys from different areas, you know, leaving home for the first time on your own. And that all starts by doing what you're supposed to be doing all the time. Of course, you're going to have your moments. A lot of good guys screw up, you know.
Yeah. I'll tell you what's screwed up. I got to fix those helmets behind you. You got to switch them, because I can't stand looking at that. And I'm not a fan of it. I love the Maryland helmet too, but we got to switch them, because all I'm seeing is that Maryland helmet. Just switch with the Alabama helmet. I know this is like we changed some of the stuff in the studio around, but I got that Maryland helmet from Maryland. They gave it to me. And I just think it looks cool. Like Bama's playing somebody, you know, you had to have somebody to play. So
it'd be a rough day for Maryland.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not the. Sorry about that, guys. Cut that out. Hey, edit that out, Tyler, for the
somebody saying something about
no. But look, I don't want to change subjects, but Nacho Alabama is here with us today. Roll Tide Nacho. I'm going to get to he's got a very important question to ask you, and I'm going to get to that. So, but I don't want to change subjects yet. I don't want to change subjects. The thing I do want to say, though, is my bookie is our sponsor. My bookie. Use the promo code next round to double your initial deposit at the sports book. And March Madness is almost here. And you guys know, Coker has his own strategy on playing the games, and it's a strategy that works for him. You guys probably have yours, mybookie.ag. And Nacho, don't go anywhere. I'm going to get to your question here coming up, but I want to talk more about Rock because, we're kind of getting into him saying it's not a fashion show. It's about football.
But I'll also say this. I mean, there was a fear factor when Coach Saban was around.
Right.
I mean, look, you felt like you could talk to him, but at the same time, you knew where the line was. I mean, we had, I think this was the first summer I was there, and I won't mention names. Somebody did something on the weekend that was, it caught public attention, and it wasn't.
You don't want to talk about this guy.
It wasn't anything serious. I mean, good guy doing something dumb, I mean,
so he's a friend of yours, and you don't want him. He might watch this.
Probably not, but he's
just in case.
I mean, it's just
okay.
It doesn't really
throw it out there. What happened?
It doesn't really matter, but something happened to the public eye. It got caught a little publicity. And we're running curves, it's 6:30 in the morning, and all of a sudden you hear the whistle blowing, and you see out there, Coach Saban comes across the field. I just see him walking across the field. Everybody was wondering why the whistle's blowing, and then you look over and you see, I still remember it was like a dark blue shirt, dark pants, just walking across the field, and everybody is like, oh shit, they're looking at their socks, they're making sure their shirt's tucked in.
My shoes are tied.
Yeah, do I have the right shoes on? Yeah, I mean, he goes on a 20-minute just F you rant, just wearing our asses out. And I tell you what, there was no more weekend issues that year, to my knowledge. Maybe forgetting about one, but
what'd they do?
It was nothing serious. I mean,
you don't remember, or do you remember and you just don't want to talk about it?
I don't know enough details about it, but I know. Okay. I mean, it wasn't like a go to jail thing. It was like something stupid where I think the player did something dumb, and a cop just called Coach Saban.
It's one of those. It was one of those. Hey, I'm not gonna lock Coker up this time. But if this happens again, and you're like, hey, don't tell Coach Saban and don't tell my parents. Although Brian would probably be nice, but your mom would probably be harder on you, right? Yeah. Hey, have you ever seen one of these before?
This is like that time, man. I broke when I broke my big toe in the locker room. Ardarius pulls my foot out from under me and it hits that trash can, and my toe broke. I think I told you this story.
No, you did not tell me this one.
Well, when I broke my big toe prior to my senior year, I did it in the locker room, and it's just a freak, stupid accident. And I miss meetings. I'm getting like a quick X-ray in the training room, and they're trying to figure out how to tape my foot, and I'm like, do not tell Coach Saban, because I was so scared he was gonna be like, you did what in the locker room, and just cuss me. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm going to be late to practice. He's going to be pissed, and then he's going to find out what happened. He's really
what toe was it?
My right big toe.
Oh, my goodness.
That was terrible.
So what happened? You just sucked, and he's like, what's wrong with Coker?
Pretty much. I mean, I came running out there, and I practiced that day. I mean, it hurt like shit. But then, obviously, it was so bad. It was like, all right, we got to have a conversation.
So you had to break down and tell him.
Yeah. So then I talk to him, have surgery. I'm out for 3 or 4 days.
Surgery?
You didn't know all this?
No.
Yeah, I broke my big toe in my right foot. This was during camp my senior year. And then they put 2 screws in it, and I was back to practicing in 3, 4 days. But that was my main, just, Dr. Waldrop at the time, he did my he did my foot, and I just asked him. I said, "Look, if I play on this, I mean, is it going to affect me down the road? Am I going to be able to walk?" And he says, "I mean, it should be no permanent damage, really. So, I mean, as long as you can get through it, go play." I was like, "All right."
What if he would have been like, "Hey, yeah, they might have to cut your toe off"?
You know, honestly, I think if he said we might have to cut your toe off, I might have been like, "All right." I mean, in all seriousness,
yeah,
what do I need my big toe right now for?
Yeah, right. we had one of the.
Well, I wish I had that big toe. I'd have wrote that general liability policy for.
You'd have been one of those guys without a big toe. We could call you Clubfoot.
It'd have made for a hell of a story.
Yeah. Well, Ronnie Lott cut his finger off so he could play in a football game.
When they cut it off, I'd have put it in a box and mailed it to Ardarius. Said thanks. Was
that before the Iron Bowl?
That was before the Wisconsin game.
Okay. So, wait, what the Wisconsin game?
Yeah, that was camp practice.
Oh, Wisconsin. That's right. I'm thinking Wisconsin playoffs. You mean Wisconsin the opener? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he made up for it with that catch against Auburn.
Oh yeah, yeah.
One of your most famous moments. One of your top 10s.
Yeah, I give Ardarius a pass because he was one of my favorite teammates I've ever had. I'll give it to him.
When's he coming in here, man? These are what the people want. They want that the people want to see.
Yes.
All right. They're tired of us too.
I'm gonna just have to become a booking agent.
You are. I mean, because I'm telling you, I'm getting barrage of it. When's Shank coming back? Where's Ryan been? People like Roger Schultz.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of good feedback on him, which Ryan's kind of part of the crew. I mean, he's our guy. He's like the third guy of the team.
Yeah. Well, having kids will slow down the appearances.
Yeah, they will. It will, man. I'd love to do a show with Shank and not talk any football.
Just see where it takes you.
Yeah. See where we go every day. Yeah. Every week, you go
to some strange corners in your brain you never knew existed.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. He's a smart dude, and he's fun to talk to.
You turn around and you're like, how the hell did I get here?
It's like, him on social media is so interesting. All right, Nacho, Alabama. If you're still in the house, man, roll tide. Nacho's the guy that he's got the luchador mask and he's got the poncho that goes with it. He came and saw us at Innisfree, and Poncho, Nacho, I'm going to tell you this. I noticed on your hammer, okay, that you had Chris Stewart's signature on there, and I don't know who else's signature was on there. But when you didn't ask Coker to sign your hammer, I even asked him about that. I was like, I think that's like an autograph hammer. Well, Nacho noticed that. He said, "Hey, Jake, did I get you to sign the yellow hammer when I was on the show?"
That's a nice way to avoid telling me you didn't want my signature.
He doesn't like to sign anyway. Nacho, he'll sign anything, but he don't like it.
I was totally sold on that, on there being a flask in that hammer.
Yeah, that's true. You did say that.
Yeah, I was like, man, this is a hell of a way to sneak alcohol into a game.
Yeah. Nacho said he was starstruck. That's why.
I'm kidding, Nacho.
Nacho
didn't sign it, but we'll have to knock it out next year.
You coming back next year, man. You are definitely coming back to the tailgate show. We'll be I'm sure at Innisfree or somewhere else fun. And you're definitely invited to come back and talk some football with us. And he said, absolutely. Yeah. I noticed that. I saw the Chris Stewart signature on there, and I'm like, I wonder what it is about Jake he doesn't like. Oh, maybe you offended him, but he said no. He's not. He was just starstruck.
Old Nacho. All right, playoff expansion.
All right, switching gears to playoff expansion. So the college football playoff is talking about expansion.
Let me ask you this: did you like how many playoff games there were this year? Do you think it was too much?
They're thinking about going from 14 to 16.
12 to 14 to 16.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think they've already agreed on 14, right? And maybe they're going.
Have they? Okay.
I don't know, man. Look, I really can't keep up with it. But okay, here's the thing I thought. I thought that the playoff committee, and you guys know this, did a shitty job of picking the teams. And they based it off of win-losses instead of the talent of the teams that you're playing. Now, it's hard for me in a way to really stand on that because the SEC, pooped down their leg in the tournament, right?
Yeah.
But with that said, I mean, I still think that Ole Miss and Alabama and South Carolina played, had hell of a seasons better than SMU and Clemson and the ACC having an automatic bid. Like, they're not a good league anymore. So basically what they're trying to do is get the Big Ten and the SEC to have 4 automatic bids. And I get that. I mean, like, just because you got to take it out of this committee's hands, just because we saw them screw it up so bad last year. How is Ohio State playing Oregon?
But each year it's going to be different based on the heat they caught from the year prior. I mean,
I'm not disagreeing. That's a good point.
Their philosophy will change based on where they screwed up the year before, and it's going to be just a pendulum. It'll be back and forth. All right, most deserving versus best team. Most deserving, best team. I mean, next year, given what happened this year, if there's say, I don't know, who's a UNLV, I don't know, they go 11-1. I mean, next year they go 11-1. They're not putting them in over a 3-loss Ole Miss team,
right?
Because of what happened last year with SMU, and then say a 3-loss Alabama team gets blown out the year after that, or that year, then the next year it'll be UNLV instead of Alabama.
Right.
And it's just going to go back and forth.
Yeah. Hayden Blaylock says, how's it hanging, Jake?
Smooth.
Is it good? I like the idea of having 4 SEC teams make it because it's a 16-team conference, right? And the top 4 in the conference are most likely going to be pretty good teams. And I was one, and remember this, guys. I mean, Jim Dunaway called me out for it. And when I was down at the floor Bama after the playoff committee, effed it up. And I said, look, why do you even need the SEC anymore? If you're Alabama, I mean, look at Notre Dame. They got to the championship game playing that schedule that they manipulate every year. I mean, so it's a couple tough games, but not, it's not like what we're doing. We're playing an NFL schedule. And then we added Florida State and Wisconsin to it. I mean, come on, man.
I mean, once you get to there's what? The ultimate blue bloods, Alabama, Texas, Notre Dame. Would you throw Michigan in there? I don't know if I'd throw Michigan in there.
As in what?
As the ultimate top of the pyramid college football.
I mean, how many of them do we have? I think Michigan's, and now that they can buy players, they're alumni like the Barstool guy and other rich people. They're going to buy. They bought Haywood, who was an Alabama offensive lineman, commit, grew up an Alabama fan, always wanted to play at Alabama, got to get the and then all of a sudden, hey, here you go. How much money is it going to take? Go there. As long as there's no rules, Michigan's going to be in that mix, but they've been good. Maybe they haven't won as many championships, but when I think of college football, I think Alabama and Notre Dame are the 2 biggest brands.
Yeah.
And then I think Ohio State is right there with them.
Ohio State.
But I think Notre Dame and Alabama, I mean, just the legacy.
I think Ohio State's probably in there too.
Ohio State.
When I was growing up, USC was in there too. I mean, USC was,
USC, Oklahoma. I put Michigan kind of in that category, but
see, Oklahoma though, when I was growing up, they were always good. But what they called Bob Suits Big Game Bob. I mean, because
he lost all the big games.
He couldn't win the big one.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of like Clemson before I got to college.
Yeah, but they're not in that mix. Florida State's not in that mix. Miami's not. They're good, but they're not the historic.
Well, that's why
they're not winning in the
Oklahoma, and that. I mean, they used to always be good, but I don't remember them. They lost to Florida. In my memory, I remember them getting throttled by USC, and then getting beat by Florida by a pretty good margin of victory.
Right.
I mean, every time they made it, and it was the BCS back then, they just put the two best teams in the playoff or in the national championship, and you really didn't know who belonged. I mean, like in 2004, they screwed up. They don't put Auburn in there. I mean, Auburn was the best team in the country that year.
Cadillac.
Yeah.
And Ronnie Brown, right?
Ronnie Brown had that defense.
There you go, Chris Williams in the comments section, Auburn fan. Shout out to your guys.
Yeah. I mean, so you never really knew, but to me, Oklahoma, since I can go back in my memory, Oklahoma's never really proved too much.
But historically, they've won a ton of games.
I got what you're saying.
You know, I mean, like the Nebraska brand, and I know that this has been a long time. I remember a day when Nebraska was for 3 straight years unbeatable. And
see, I remember
you got there right after
hear
that.
all those stories, but I
had a friend that used to cry when Nebraska lost a football game.
Yeah.
Think about that.
I remember when Nebraska was in a national, they played Miami, but they got throttled in that game.
This would have been like late 90s.
Eric Crouch.
Yeah.
Won the Heisman.
I wonder if Nebraska's ever going to be able to, get back, because the problem that they have, and now that there's NIL, but it's not like they're a rich state. Maybe they can buy some players, but they always kind of had like this. They were the last team that, to me, ran the option and ran it well,
Yeah.
And the option, when it's run well, is hard to stop. And they would win every game. Then they get to but if teams had time to plan for it, you could stop it.
Well, that's to me nowadays the option. I mean, it's not a winning formula. I mean, if you match up well, then you're going to win games you shouldn't.
But think about this: Vandy runs a weird new style option, and beat Alabama with it.
That's a hybrid.
I know, but you know what I'm saying.
You're not talking about Paul Johnson at Georgia Tech.
No, but he was actually pretty good there when he was getting players.
No, he wasn't bad.
Yeah,
but it's not like he was elite either.
The Army and Navy, I mean, don't they run that?
Pretty sure Army does.
Yeah, and then they've had great seasons.
Navy has for years.
They had great seasons. I don't know if they beat a lot of teams.
All right. What do you think if all of a sudden first down, first game of the year, first series, we run nothing but triple option?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not talking about us, but I'm saying like Nebraska.
No, but that's what I mean. I mean, nowadays, if you run it, it's just,
you go out and you recruit the best guys to play that system.
Yeah.
And we've made everybody is smaller but faster. We've gotten rid of the big guy for the more athletic guy. And then you run that triple option, and all of a sudden now power is beating speed. I mean, could that happen?
I mean, you say that, man. You look at that offensive line Alabama's had the last couple of years, and they're absolutely massive. I mean, hosses from tackle to tackle.
Right. I just I upped Jake's mic for you, Nan, and Roll Tide Chris. Good to see all you guys on here. Oh, here's one right here. I got behind, but Jake signed a football for my wife and I.
Hope it's real.
He hates signing.
Right after we won the national championship, I got a Twitter because I was doing signings.
Yeah.
And then one of the first things I saw was a forged signature of me and Reggie Ragland and Derrick Henry on the Sports Illustrated.
Come on, man. Seriously?
Oh yeah.
You don't mind signing. You just don't want people to think that you're there, like just whipping out your autograph to be that guy.
Oh yeah.
Is that it?
If I walk in somewhere where I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of Alabama fans, I'm hiding. I mean, I like talking to people. I don't like, I don't know, I'm not going to go in there and act like I'm somebody they should recognize,
When we were in Nashville, which was,
but I appreciate when people do. It means a lot. very much appreciate
You
it.
do. You do. We were in Live Oak. Great crowd showed up. And if anybody watching was at Live Oak in Nashville, we were there for the tailgate show. It was pretty cool.
That was a fun show.
I still think it might be my favorite show.
Yeah. The only problem with that show is that we lost the next day.
I know.
To Vandy.
But you know what? I said on the show, and you guys didn't believe me. I said, Vandy could beat us. I didn't think they were going to. I said they could. And then looking back now, obviously somebody needed to get that message to Kalen DeBoer. And I think that's the biggest problem that team had last year. Is it that they thought that because you were Alabama, you showed up and
I mean, I'm sure that Kalen DeBoer knew. I mean, had an understanding of their deficiencies, and I'm sure he was nervous.
Think so?
But I mean, again, you've been there for 5 months. At that point in time, I mean, trying to coach a bunch of guys you don't even know.
And I give him look. I like him. You know this.
Oh, I know.
I really like him, and you guys have I've talked about this many times, but there's my Brett Elmore Kuzi. He did our show. He did the tailgate show 2 weeks before Brett died, and it was great, and he was awesome. And there's a part of me that's always going to like him for that. And the other part is I think he's good. You know, I think he's good. I just think that this is he's taken over for the best coach that's ever coached.
Yeah.
And he's got to be himself.
Look, I think he's, you hear I can't stand the fact that it took this long for us to be, and for the push to be disciplined, being on time and all that. I mean, that should be day one, you send a message. I mean, I always remember when coaches came in, new coaches at Florida State or Alabama, you just knew you're like, all right, I'm going to not like this guy for the first month because he's going to send a message. He's got to be a tough guy and you can't talk to him. And then after however long, you start having conversations with them and they're, more open, but they're trying to send that message. And you understand that. I mean, it's just a part of the whole game. But you got to establish the boundary and the respect there. And players got to understand that it means something to be on time. It means something to do things the right way. And that's the standard. That's how it's going to be. Once you accomplish that, all right, then we can start getting deeper and get into more detail. But, the basics have to be conquered before you can really get better.
All right, Scott Moses. I was at the Nashville show and Jake signed my hat. Thank you, Scott. And roll Tide, brother.
Appreciate you reaching out, my man.
Makes him feel better.
Sitting in the booth over there on the left, I think.
Hey, well, we came to Nashville. We didn't know. They kept telling us, like, put the show up there where people could hear it, And I was always like, man, what if nobody shows up? But, man, you guys show up. And the more you need to show up this year. Nacho was at the show. Scott was at the show. So make sure you guys come to the tailgate show this year.
Yeah, I hate we can't go to Nashville this year.
I know, man. That was so much fun.
That was a good time.
Yeah, like we record the show on Friday, and then it plays on Saturday. And by the way, talking about that tailgate show,
and then
you ready?
Preston Dial's talking about it. He's like, man, there's a Vandy coach is my neighbor, but we're about to beat them 56-0.
Man, I love Preston. Preston was there. Taylor Hicks was awesome. It was good to see him.
Oh, yeah.
Our friend Kevin Sport. We had like a really good crew.
Oh, yeah.
But Preston's like, he's
Preston
fun, the kind of fun that gets you in trouble because your time flies when you're hanging with that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Great
that
dude.
Story, that Gene story. Or Eugene.
Yeah, Eugene from West Virginia. That did make me laugh. You're gonna have to tell everybody now.
I'm sure. Well, if you've heard this story before, you know that. I mean, you've heard it, but Preston's telling a story about Joe Pendry, and he's like, Joe Pendry keeps calling him Eugene, and he calls him Eugene over and over again, and he's like, man, I really like. He might have been talking, to our buddy. But he's like, man, he keeps calling me Eugene. I don't know why he's calling me that. And he goes, all right, I got to go ask him. And he walks over to Joe, Coach Pendry, and he goes, Coach, what's going on? Why do you keep calling me Eugene? And Coach Pendry says, well, Preston, you remind me a lot of a guy that I used to know in West Virginia. His name was Eugene, and he was the dumbest motherfucker I've ever met.
Oh, it makes me laugh every time you tell that. And I was there. Oh my God. Eugene. Do you know any Eugene?
That's just old school freaking hilarious. I mean, just an old school coach's, way of doing things.
Well,
you gotta love it too.
Yeah. How long is he calling you Eugene until you ask?
He's gonna make sure you ask.
Yeah. Hey, get with Eugene over here. And you go to West Virginia. I mean, that's woo. There's some Eugenes over there.
Coach Saban, they're all from there.
How
crazy is that?
I spent some time in Huntington, West Virginia. Met some good people.
That's a nice place.
That was cool, but I mean, there was some Eugenes there.
Why don't you explain what that means? Get into some detail.
No, other than like this was the state right here. People would be like, "I'm from right here," like this. I'm like, okay, any state that you use your middle finger to describe. Oh man, well, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us too, man. The doing the live shows was great, man. It's so much fun. We need to take this. We've talked about this. We need to take the elephant in the room on the road at some point.
Yep.
Maybe at least down here. Down in LA. So
mullet toss.
Yeah, mullet toss. That's a good idea. I'll be back for that. So have you been here since the blizzard? I don't think you have.
I had to have.
I don't think in here.
I mean, that was what?
A couple weeks ago.
A month ago?
Was it a month ago? No, it wasn't a month ago. Like 3 weeks ago.
Last week of January, right?
Well, we're going to look at snow pictures. Did you post a lot of snow pictures on
your backyard? Still looks like shit. I don't know if you've noticed, but
man, I got to tell you this, dude. I mean, for those of you that, if anybody does landscaping, help. We had... So there was a lot of these.
You're gonna need more than a landscaper.
We had a lot of these water oaks, and we took the water oaks out because the storm, this Hurricane Sally, damaged them. And so every time you walk outside, there'd be like these giant branches falling out of the sky, So some of these trees are like 90 feet, and now I miss them. It looks like like we had missile damage here. I hate it. I walk outside, and you know what I do? I walk right back inside. Right back in.
No cocktails in the afternoon.
No, not like it used to be.
Enjoying the scenery.
Oh no, I don't think
you
don't
have as many mosquitoes. I can't imagine.
Yeah, that's true. But I haven't watched any football games out on the deck, and I've got to get it fixed. Man, it sucks. Michael says Jake could run for governor. The state loves you, man.
I appreciate that, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
I don't know if that would be in the state's best interest.
I would be. I mean, when you come in, would you please just put your glasses on for Michael for that great comment? Michael, if you'd have seen him walk in, you'd have been like, you're either going to fly an F-15 or you're running for governor. He told me the other day he was going to get his Fairhope flip cut. He did. Where do you go for that, dude? Is that sports?
I went to Super Great Clips.
Great Clips.
Oh yeah,
man. I hope you tipped well. They did a good job.
Hey, I appreciate it. You see, coming around.
I like the haircut. I just don't like the haircut. I don't like the style, but it looks good. Like it's not that it just scares me.
So what does this haircut? What does it say about me? What are you trying to get at here?
I feel like when you come in like that
that I'm not going to drink beer with you.
You're a narc.
If I was a narc, you'd have been in trouble a long time ago. Hey, we wouldn't be doing show 155. I can promise you that.
Oh, I'm just kidding. Everybody's gonna take this the wrong way. That's why we don't do a lot of the live shows, because we get off.
I'm kidding.
I know, and look, I'm kidding too. Now what I'm not kidding about though is 16 teams in the playoff field, and we'll kind of swing back that direction. I think that I was dead set against this playoff, but I'm changed my mind now. I think we should just go to 32 and just have cut these stupid championship games out and let's just go right into the playoff. We'll follow the format of the old 1AA.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
Just put them in. Put them in.
What I'm going to say before we get to that is I'm going to say, I think you got to have SEC teams guaranteed a certain amount of slots. And when you have SEC teams in, did any SEC teams, Tennessee got blown out, but Tennessee, we kind of knew what Tennessee was.
Yeah.
And they played Ohio State.
Right.
If they aren't that outmatched, then they're going to hang in there. These SEC teams, their schedule is just so intense that by the end of the year, these teams are all used to playing in big games.
Right.
When you've got teams from the ACC or other conferences that have just been running through their schedule, just beating the hell out of people. It's a little different when you get into, especially a playoff mode where you got 4 games at most. You got back-to-back games where it's a dogfight the entire time.
Right.
And when you have that full season in the SEC where you're constantly just, pounding away. And even when you do win by a couple touchdowns, I make that Arkansas comment all the time. You play Arkansas, you've played somebody.
Yeah, right. You feel it.
Yeah, it's even if you're winning, it's all out effort all the time, or you will get beat. We're down to Arkansas. We almost lost my junior year. We beat them by a couple touchdowns my senior year, but just an absolute dogfight. Tennessee, I don't think they were ranked my senior year, but they almost beat us, beat them on a 2-minute drive. It's just teams with so much talent
that was when you came. That's when you came to age in that drive.
Thanks.
Is that a fair comment?
I think when the team was mine and I knew it is when I was finally able to really start playing and get better. Because when it's your team and you know it, the level of confidence right there goes up when you know you got your teammates, which I always felt like I had a lot of support from my teammates. Well, you know the coaching staff is going with you and you're the guy. It just allows you to play a lot more confidently. Because when you're sitting there and you think, all right, I got to have a good drive here, got to have a good drive. And maybe that's not the right mindset. Probably not. But it's, it's got to be tough. I would think it's tough for anybody. I don't know how you block that out as a quarterback that, there's a potential that I, may get pulled here if I throw an interception or if I, screw up here. When you got the coaches on your side and no matter what happens, you're playing. Obviously you can't go out there and throw 4 interceptions, but just having that backing gives you a lot of confidence to go out there and play and really lead the team, not just go out there and try to play your best, but also make the team around you better.
Mm-hmm. But you came to age when you ran that 2-minute drive and beat Tennessee. I was at the game. We were a little nervous.
No, I think,
but that was one of the best drives ever.
No, I think the whole team. I think we just had a lot of good guys on offense, and it was or defense, offense, but just on that team. I think that when you have guys with a championship caliber mindset, we had so many opportunities that game we just blew. Or we didn't score in the red zone, or God, I threw an interception against cover 2. and I still think about it to this day. I mean, Chris Black's wide open. He runs past the corner, and I'm like, okay, I got this. And I took way too much time, and then I threw it inside, and I'm like, that guy runs over and picks it off. I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe I just did that. You know, I mean, just what are you doing? I wanted to cuss myself up and down the field. Just huge mistakes that made no sense. And we had the 2-minute drive at the end of the game, and I remember, I mean, everything was so calm. I mean, it was almost like quiet in there, you know. Everybody was focused, ready to go. Negative plays didn't affect us, and just made the plays we had to make.
You got sacked at some point, didn't you? And then they made a couple plays.
I had a goofy ass scramble on the first play.
It's been a while.
Ran all over the place on first down.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think second down, I believe we had man coverage. I threw it to Ardarius on the outside. Ran a couple times. And then I think we had, I want to say we had I had a sprint out. You know, I looked back and we had man, and I saw Calvin Ridley 1-on-1. Instead of sprinting out. I can't remember if they were bringing pressure to the play side or not, but I remember looking out over there, and I was like, okay, I like this 1-on-1 a lot more. I just remember trying to sneak the signal to Calvin, the hang loose, the fade. Yeah. That's what Kiffin called it, hang loose. So this was a signal. And I remember just trying to sneak it behind my back so the corner didn't see me, you know, basically saying, hey, the ball's going to Calvin.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so I snuck it in there and made sure he made eye contact with me. Got it, threw it to him, and 1-on-1 Calvin Ridley.
Untouchable back then.
Yeah. I mean,
he's one of the best.
And we knew, ever. I mean, Lane was like, I remember during that week, they're like, we got to really challenge these corners when we get a chance. So it was a hell of an opportunity to challenge them.
Mm-hmm. Hey, when you beat them, it was fantastic. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
I loved beating them.
Talk about a relief when that game was over. The loudest I've ever heard Bryant Denny was Ryan Anderson's sack.
Yeah, we told him that. Yep. Smoked a cigar after that one. I wonder which one of mine. I got a bunch of these cigar smoking pictures up here. I don't remember which one it is, but I have a picture of me smoking a cigar. That was all 16 games we won in a row.
Oh, yeah. No, that was one of those games, though, that as a player, everybody was kind of like, you know, we were excited. It was fun at the end because you beat Tennessee, but at the same time, you're like, man, what are we doing? You know,
I know where the picture is. All I got to do is go back to 2016. Yeah, I loved it, man. Except I've told you this before. This is my problem with Alabama concessions is that I was in line and Derrick Henry ran the ball the third quarter over those guys. And it was a fast third quarter because of that. I missed the whole third quarter standing in line for a Diet Coke.
In that game?
Yeah.
We didn't even score a touchdown.
We didn't score, but we kept moving the ball.
I know we got down to the goal line and had a pick play to Calvin, and I threw it, and that guy got his hand in there and knocked it out. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Made a hell of a play. And then we kicked a field goal, but I don't remember much more outside of that.
Looking for I'm close to it right there. Oh, there's.
What's he looking for?
Looking for my picture with my cigars.
Oh.
Well, there's one. That's with Ben George. Right there. Boom. 2016. Thanks to you. October 15th, 2016. Right?
Yeah.
Or no, was it 2015?
No, it's 15.
Okay, well, that was the next year.
So all that time you pull up the wrong picture.
Well, I told you I have one of every year from that streak. Because when I was in school, we lost to them. We never beat them when I was a student.
When I was little, I mean, just beating Tennessee didn't happen.
Yeah.
06 or 05 was the first time I remember beating Tennessee in a while, I feel like. What, did we beat them in 99?
No, we didn't beat them in 99. We beat them in like maybe 2000 or something. We lost to them 99. We won the SEC and we didn't beat them.
Yeah, 99, because Tennessee won the national championship that year, didn't they?
Yep. No, they won in 98. Hey, there I am.
Florida State.
There I am with
99.
Terrence Cody, Mount Cody before that game. Remember him?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ah, there we go. There we go. Got our cigars.
You are a freaking gump.
I am. That somebody accused me of that on here. Look, I'm going to tell you guys this. I promise you that I try to be objective, but I love Alabama.
Are we supposed to be objective on this show?
I don't know. Good to see you, Dickie. He wants to know if your big toe affected any of the issues that you had in the Wisconsin game. And Southern Red, good to see you. Roll Tide.
Well, I mean, it sucked the entire year. It wasn't I still can't bend that toe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, it was I still had screws in it until the end of the year.
Jeez. All right. Before we talk basketball, I'm going to take a couple questions from you guys. Get them in there, and we're going to talk about the basketball team coming up. I already got that one. Javi wants to know who Jake thinks has the lead in the QB race going into spring.
It's got to be Ty. I mean, I don't know who else would. Here's the thing about Ty to me is I haven't really seen the other guys throw too much. I mean, I've seen some. Obviously, they got a lot of talent, but when you have a coach's son in there and you watch Ty play, he gets it. He knows what's going on. He's had time in that system. I mean, Clint Trickett, a good friend of mine, and I know he would never take this the wrong way, but I think he was 6'2", 175 pounds. If he was 6'5", 240, he'd be a Hall of Famer.
Really?
He was kind of a similar. He wasn't as big as Ty. He had celiac disease. He couldn't gain weight, but one of the most. He reminds me so much of Ty, or Ty reminds me so much of him. Just a guy that gets the ball out. He knows where to go with it. He understands the processes. He understands. To me, it looks like he understands the pressures, and he's never been able to really, really play with that number one group. So I don't think you've seen the ceiling on Ty. I think he's probably our safest bet. Now, Keelan Russell, you never know what to think until you see him in real time action. So, I mean, he looks talented to me. I think, just watching him throw, seeing you see some of these highlight tapes, and you're like, man, this guy, I mean, he can throw it with anybody. But you just never know. And I guess he's just shown up to campus. Did he come in December or January?
Yeah, he was an early enrollee. Yeah. And then Austin Mack came with these guys from Washington.
Yeah, he's probably. I mean, he's going to have some time to pick it up. But I'm just telling you, a guy like Ty is going to be hard to beat out. Those real cerebral guys are very, very, very tough for a coach to just say, all right, I'm going with the guy that doesn't have as much experience, doesn't understand it as much, but we're going to roll the dice. I mean, you know what you got in Ty, a guy that is more than capable of getting the job done. He's been in the system. You know what you got. Now, when Keelan gets a year, I'll be far more interested to see what happens. But it's just, to me, it's always tough year one for me to just say, this guy's my favorite. But to me, just the way it stacks up, it's got to be between Keelan and Ty, I would think. I think Keelan's probably going to work his way into that second spot. But I'm not going to discount Mac either, because some of the throws he made in those games, I watched him in the spring game. I thought he didn't really understand. He didn't feel comfortable with the offense. He wasn't really anticipating. Well, he had his moments. Made a great throw in the regular season this year, but still hadn't seen enough of him. I hadn't seen enough of him to know if they were real serious about him or not either. I mean, I know he was with Kalen DeBoer for a year, so he should have a good idea. I was kind of expecting to see more crisp play in the spring game because he had been with him for a year. But again, gives me some hope because he got in there and threw that one ball, but you still don't know.
All right, here just staying on quarter.
Is that clear?
Yeah,
that
I got
clear?
you. Yeah. Staying on quarterbacks. Fromm wants to know. Jay Coker, what do you think about tall quarterbacks, 6'6", 6'7", talking about advantages and disadvantages, tall QBs?
I see some people think that's a big deal. I don't. It's kind of like, Coach Damian Craig used to talk about this all the time, and I do, to a certain degree, agree with him. I mean, I think if you're throwing in tight traffic, it's obviously helpful to be able to get that ball over people. But at the end of the day, when you're a quarterback, you're still throwing through lanes. I mean, it's very hard to. It's not like you see over the line. I mean, you're still having trouble seeing without maneuvering in the pocket and seeing through lanes. And this day and age, having a guy if you're tall and mobile, that's one thing. But if you're tall and you're a statue back there, I think it's getting harder and harder to be a prolific player with the offenses we're seeing now. I mean, it just requires so much more mobility now than it used to. That if you get a guy who's tall and a statue, I mean, it's kind of tough. It gives you a lot less options. Now, again, standing in the pocket, I think it does help, but having a guy that's 6'2", that's really athletic, that can move around, you're still throwing through lanes. I don't take the, it used to be a big detriment in the league or in the draft process that you were 6'2", 6'1". I mean, you look at Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, a lot of these guys that aren't very tall, but they can still see, they find lanes, they understand what they're looking for. I don't think it's some huge deal. Situationally, it's all about situations. Some situations it's good, depends on the offense. But is it a game changer to be 6'5"? I don't think so.
You're a tall quarterback, but you're 6'5", so that's 2 more inches. We used to not have very short guys play quarterback, and then Bryce Young's not very tall. Being at the Senior Bowl, I was out there, and you see a lot of these guys are my size. I'm 6 foot, 6'1", somewhere in there. It used to be everybody was really tall like you. Here,
I mean, to me, it's it's not so much about height; it's about durability. I mean, my gosh,
that's the sport in general. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that made me worry about Bryce was him getting hurt in the NFL because he's so much smaller than everybody else.
It's good to see him do his thing now because if there's so many haters out there, and they were just absolutely shitting all over the guy, and now he's kind of like proving that, hey, I can play, man.
Oh yeah,
he was on the worst team in the league. That's how they drafted him, the first pick. That means they stink.
That's what we talked about that last week.
I know.
I mean, just because you get drafted in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. I mean, some of these guys, I knew when Dak Prescott got drafted by the Cowboys, I knew that was probably the best thing that could ever happen for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tony Romo's kind of on his way out.
Right.
They bring Dak Prescott in. He's on a good team, and well, I mean, obviously the marketing of the Dallas Cowboys for him financially is great, but
the brand,
but had a pretty solid team around him, and the guy is just, I mean, mentally so stable. You knew he was going to do well there. It's like Jalen Hurts at the Eagles.
Yeah,
I mean, it went a little later, but I guarantee you, he wouldn't trade this Super Bowl and the future that he's about to have for being drafted 1st overall.
You win a Super Bowl. I mean, you won a damn Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, it's with you for the rest of your life. You're
yeah.
a quarterback that won a Super Bowl. You're a quarterback that won a national championship. But they're great. I mean, how often do you go somewhere and people are like, hey, this guy won a national championship? And I know it was a team effort, but I mean, still, when you're the quarterback, when you lose, everybody's on your ass. And when you win, you get a lot of credit.
Yeah, I knew it would have been a lot different had we lost to Clemson.
Hey, guys, like and subscribe as you hang out with us. Getting in the comment section right now. We're about to talk a little basketball, but answering your questions is a live show. We appreciate all of you. Please join us, too, on covercrimson.com. That's our message board. That's what we're building up right now. We want you guys to be a part of everything that we're doing here on Cover Crimson and Disrupt the Media. So thank you and appreciate, everything you've done. All right, Larry Large, I'm going to get to your question here. He says, hey, Jake, how do we get back to having the OT play that you had for so many championship squads at Alabama? I'm guessing he's saying the offensive line.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thanks, Larry.
I guess.
Yeah. Latoya, Roll Tide.
I mean, I don't know. You listen to Shank come in here, and I mean, I'm not an offensive line coach, but all the offensive lines I've been around that have been really good have always been one unit. Man, they do everything together, and I mean, eat breakfast, lunch, dinner together. They're always. I mean, if you find one of them drinking a beer, they're all drinking a beer. I mean, it's like one just total solid unit. They're all best friends. And there's just a tough mentality. I mean, just not afraid to put your nose in there. I mean, offensive line play to me, and I'm not an offensive line coach. I'm not one to teach technique or anything like that to an offensive lineman, but I know one thing, that the offensive line that we had, they won the Joe Moore Award, and I mean, it's just constant effort. I know at Florida State we had Rick Trickett, one of the best offensive line coaches in the country, pushing those guys. I mean, it's like watching basic training every day. I mean, guys just getting after it nonstop, communicating, understood the looks, understood the pressures. We're able to pass things off to backs and pick up the most dangerous man. Kind of the same way at Alabama, you had Mario Cristobal, obviously head coach at Miami now, very involved. And I mean, every play, it was like, sometimes you'd think if you were an outsider looking in, you'd almost think he was offensive coordinator, is just involved as he was coaching every play.
Yeah.
And both places, I mean, those guys, Coach Trickett was probably 5'8". He wasn't afraid to fight anybody, including his offensive line. Mario's the same way. I mean, that's just the culture I've always been around, and watching offensive line coaches, seeing how offensive lines interact with each other. I don't know how prevalent any of that stuff is, but I know that's all. I've seen really good offensive lines, and those are the characteristics of a good offensive line.
Well, it takes a great offensive line to win a championship. And you look back on all the championship teams that Alabama's had, that the offensive line's full of great players. And I'll tell you what I love about Coach Cap is that this guy recruits at a level that's Alabama equivalent.
Yeah. Well, you can kind of hide certain groups through play calls.
Yeah.
If you got a shitty offensive line, there's no hiding that. I mean, you just get beat. I mean, you cannot find a way to, receivers, running backs, you kind of find out what they're good at, utilize them in certain spots. Offensive line, I mean, you're either getting blown up or you're just one dimensional and you're not going to win. There's absolutely no hiding it. So, I mean, besides the quarterback position, the offensive lines, the next the next most vulnerable spot in terms of knowing exactly where your issue is.
Let's talk a little bit of basketball. And guys, again, thank you for hanging out. Like and subscribe, thumbs up. We're brought to you by mybookie.ag, Jake Coker and Mick Gillispie, elephant in the room. Surprisingly, we made it 133 episodes, which is when we started. We weren't sure how long we were going to go. Jake told that one story about the snake, and I thought we're done. Somehow we're not yet. So you better sign up at covercrimson.com or we might be out of here. All right, look, the final thing on the show is basketball. And I know some of you guys aren't basketball fans. I love college basketball. Absolutely love it. I grew up watching it. There was a guy named Len Bias that was a player in my town when I was a kid, and he was bigger than any NBA star. And if, he had a tragic death, he'd gone to the NBA, he was drafted by the Celtics. The Celtics probably would have won a bunch more championships. He was that impressive. And from that point on, I've been a fan. And when I got to Alabama as a student, I was surprised at just how shitty the program was. Like, nobody showed up, nobody cared. And now to see where this basketball program is, and I know they didn't win on Saturday against Auburn, but what I'm going to tell you guys is this, is that gym, which I think is a dump, was rocking. And the fans were out there, kids camped out, people gave a crap about basketball. You guys that were there, you were so loud and enthusiastic, and you supported the team. Team didn't make enough shots.
Man.
And in basketball, you have to make shots to win the game.
Yeah, the only thing that bothered me about that, and I don't know if it's not like, I don't know if it's like we just had a cold game, because Auburn, I mean, they locked us down. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, on defense.
Yeah, I mean, they looked bigger than us out there. They were always contesting shots, and we were taking some deep threes just to get open looks.
Right.
Florida
made them,
and Auburn. Huh?
I said Florida made those deep shots.
Well, I mean, are you saying like Florida's better than us?
No, I'm just saying that you can make them. I mean, you just got to, you know what? I mean, like, you got to scoot back and make a shot.
Yeah, but man,
there were open shots they missed too, though.
Scrambling to find open shots.
But think about how many times they got the open look and missed. And they lost by 3. They lost by 3 3-point shots.
Yeah, it wasn't a ton though.
Larry says we got bullied big time. Look, I think that it's a litmus test. It's only the first game.
I mean, I'm not freaking digging the grave here. I'm just saying that Auburn looked physically dominant over us.
They got out to a 9-0 start. They just got comfortable early.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Yeah, the 9-0 start didn't help.
It helped them just get relaxed. Bama hasn't shot well at home this year, and I don't know why.
We did have Janai Broome pretty rattled, I felt like, up until for a lot of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I can't jump on that train yet. Him trying to pull himself out of the game in a vital moment.
Who's that?
Janai Broome.
Oh, look, I think for us, it comes down to this. Sears has got to shoot better, or they're going to have to change things up. Oates is talking about switching guards a little bit. Maybe I'm guessing he's probably thinking about moving Sears to the 2. Bama's got so much talent, though. I mean, and it's not just the starters. The guys come off the bench and look better than some of the starters.
Yeah, no, we've got talent. I mean, look, at the same time, Auburn, I'd like to know what our average starting lineups, what our starting lineups average age is, because Auburn does look old as shit out there. They do have,
they're 23.
Their average age is 23.
Yeah.
I'm like, when I first start watching, I'm like, man, these dudes look like, this is a big team. It's kind of like, it kind of looked like, what's it called? Friday Night Lights, when Dallas Carter walks out against Permian. Those dudes are like smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, right. Mustaches.
It's like this looks like a different group right here.
Yeah, there was a guy named Bubba we had on our team. He actually wasn't any good, but they made him get off the bus first because he was so big. Like, they're gonna be like, holy shit, look at the size of this high school team. Guy's 6'9", then he gets out there and he can't, he just can't move.
Yeah. No, but I mean, that's the only thing that I think. I mean, look, last year when we were in the tournament, and when we lose what we lose in the SEC tournament, I think we lost second.
Yeah, I think second round. Yeah.
I mean, I was done. I was.
That was when you wanted to fire Oates.
No, do not.
I'm joking. He doesn't want to fire Oates.
No, but I was just like, this team doesn't have it.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
and then and then we get into the tournament and we're playing hard defense.
Yeah,
and I mean, we're there.
Focused.
We're in the moment. You know, and then Grant Nelson, he found himself in that tournament last year, but he was. I mean, it was like, in those games where we can't figure it out, it's like he's got to be the hero.
Yep.
He digs us out. He finds a way to make a play. Did it in that North Carolina game last year. But it just, I think it was a mix of Auburn getting us a little off kilter. Mark Sears, I love him to death. Just can't turn the ball over like that.
Yeah, right.
We get and I get it's part of trying to move fast and get down the court.
Yeah, man, but you can't do it, man. Especially when when you're him. But look, they play Missouri on Wednesday, and then they play Kentucky at home. There's a bunch of big games left. I mean, it's a really tough schedule, and it's
good. Tell you what,
be interesting to see what happens.
I saw some of. Man, I didn't catch too much of it, but I saw as I was walking out the door, I saw. They were asking about Aiden Holloway, and Bruce Pearl's like, well, yeah, it's like the quarterback at Alabama transferring to Auburn and then playing in the Iron Bowl. You know, I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay, here we go. And then, I mean, when he walks into that, I can't wait to see. I hope we beat them at Auburn so bad.
Yeah,
and
I think we'll be ready.
A hell of a game. I think we'll be a different team by then.
Yeah, I do too. I think this is good.
But I'll tell you, when we were lights out against Texas, just shooting the lights out of the ball, I was like, I'd rather have our off night tonight, win by 4 or 5 against Texas, and then just be on fire against Auburn.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because you never know in basketball, man.
It's day to day.
I mean, a game is you gotta.
Unless you're Jules.
Yeah,
unless you're Jules.
Unless you're Jules.
Jules Monnier. That's Jake's grandfather. The great Jules Monnier, one of the all-time great LA basketball guys.
Drafted by the Yankees and the Celtics.
Yeah, what an athlete, man. This was fun. Always good to see you in studio.
All right, I'm gonna work on the guests. I'm gonna get the guests in here.
Do it for the people, man. Don't do it for me. Do it for the people. And the people they're in the comment section.
We got to do the live together shows more often.
Yeah, well, yesterday I was in Tennessee, and I'm like, hey, you text me and do a show.
You've been a big out of town guy lately.
I'm busy, man. Somebody's got to work around here. I mean, come on, man.
That's why we've been missing the guests.
I know.
I can't plan.
I'll be here for the guests. If you bring in the Ryans and the Shane, we just got to really what we got to do is we for the people, we got to take the show to where we got to take it or bring people here for the show because they love those shows.
Yep. All right.
Nacho wants to know will we be live 8-day. Nacho, we go basically like week to week here. Thank you, Matt. Great show. Thank you, Larry. Roll Tide to you, man. We love all of you guys, by the way. We really do. We love you. We appreciate you so much for watching the show, for getting that, what we do here. We're come in here and talk some sports and talk Bama and have a good time and hopefully make you laugh a little bit. But like, subscribe, be a part of covercrimson.com and the Cover Crimson YouTube channel. Tell your Alabama friends about us, man. Clint and I will be on tomorrow breaking down recruiting, talking about the Alabama roster. We got Bama and Bourbon. We got with LT and Aaron Suttles. We got Respect the Process with Chris Stewart and Kelly. So roll tide to you guys. Just make sure you make our channel, Cover Crimson, part of your Bama watching. And that does it, man. Is there anything that I need to say do you want to play the open one more time for everybody?
Roll Tide.
Here, I'm going to play this. I'm going to play us out with your favorite.